Thank you for being here and watching this video. If you enjoy it, please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. I want this channel to be more than just a collection of videos. I want it to be a community where we explore fascinating ideas, discuss them openly, learn from one another, and grow together. So don't stay silent, join the conversation. Creativity, consciousness, and the extraordinary inner world that the act of making something opens up. The craziest thing about being creative is not the external result. It is the internal experience, the state that arises during the act of creation, and that lingers after it, is genuinely unlike most of what ordinary life provides. And yet, it is available to anyone, through almost any activity, once the connection between a person and what they are making becomes real enough to generate it. Internally, you may feel as if you have created an entire universe, a complete world with its own logic, its own beauty, its own internal coherence. Even if what you have actually made is something simple, a beautifully decorated cookie, a small drawing, a piece of music that no one else will hear, a garden bed arranged in a way that pleases no one but you. The disproportion between the inner experience and the outer result is not a delusion. It is a description of something real about what creativity actually is and where it actually lives. The psychologist Csikszentmihalyi spent decades studying what he called the optimal experience, the state that people across wildly different cultures, ages, activities, and life circumstances consistently described as the most deeply satisfying moments of their lives. He collected accounts from rock climbers and chess players, surgeons and farmers, artists and factory workers, teachers and athletes. What he found was that the activities were extraordinarily diverse, but the inner state they produced was remarkably consistent. He called it flow, a state of total absorption in a challenging activity, where self-consciousness temporarily disappears, time distorts, and the sense of effortful doing gives way to something that feels more like being done through, like the activity is happening through you rather than by you. The surgeon in the middle of a difficult procedure, the musician in the middle of an improvisation, the writer in the rare hours when the words arrive before the hand has time to consciously form them. What makes Csikszentmihalyi's research so important is that it consistently found that flow, the optimal experience, the deepest satisfaction available in human life, is almost never produced by passive consumption. It is produced by active engagement with a challenge that is calibrated to the edge of one's current ability, difficult enough to require full attention, achievable enough that the engagement is not simply frustrating. Watching television, scrolling through social media, passively consuming entertainment. These activities do not produce flow. They may produce relaxation, distraction, momentary pleasure, but they do not produce the deep, resonant satisfaction that active creation generates, because they do not require the kind of full, engaged, self-extending participation that creation demands. The calm that follows genuine creative engagement is qualitatively different from the calm that follows passive rest. It is the calm of having been fully present, of having brought everything you have to something that required it, of having made contact with some dimension of your own capacity that ordinary life rarely activates. The inner confidence that creative engagement produces is similarly grounded, not the confidence of having impressed someone, not the confidence that follows external validation, but the more durable confidence of having made something real, of knowing from direct experience that you are capable of a certain kind of sustained engagement, and that the engagement produces something worth having. That knowledge does not depend on the quality of the external result. It depends on the quality of the inner experience during the making. This is perhaps why creative engagement has such a significant effect on overall life satisfaction, an effect that research in positive psychology has documented across multiple domains. People who regularly engage in activities they experience as creative report higher levels of well-being, greater sense of meaning, lower rates of depression and anxiety, and stronger overall life satisfaction than people who do not, controlling for other factors. The effect is not primarily mediated by the outcomes of the creative activity, by recognition, income, or the quality of the work produced. It is mediated by the experience of the activity itself. The engagement, the absorption, the sense of having made something, however small or private. Creation does something to the creator that consumption does not and cannot do, regardless of how high quality the consumed content is. It is often assumed that creativity belongs only to artists, to painters, musicians, writers, poets, or to overly academic intellectuals who have made the development of ideas their professional occupation. This assumption is an illusion and a costly one. It functions as a kind of cultural gatekeeping that denies most people access to one of the most fundamental human capacities and one of the most reliable sources of genuine satisfaction available to them. The identification of creativity with professional artistic production is a relatively recent and culturally specific development, not a description of what creativity actually is or where it actually appears. In every traditional culture that has been studied in sufficient depth, creative making was understood as a universal human activity, not a specialized professional one. Every person cooked, and cooking was understood as a creative practice. Every person dressed, and dress was understood as a form of self-expression and aesthetic judgment. Every person participated in the making and maintenance of their physical environment, their home, their garden, their tools. And this participation was not merely functional, but aesthetic. The expression of preferences and sensibilities that were understood as genuinely individual. Every person told stories, sang songs, made music in some form, participated in the making of the shared cultural life of the community, through active contribution rather than passive attendance. Creativity was not the province of the specialist. It was the texture of everyday life. The Industrial Revolution and the consumer economy that followed it progressively displaced this texture. Mass production made it cheaper and more efficient to buy the made thing than to make it. The division of labor meant that people increasingly did one narrow thing professionally and consumed everything else. The specialization of artistic production into a distinct professional category, with its own institutions, markets, and credentialing systems, created the impression that the making of things worth experiencing was the business of experts. That the appropriate relationship of ordinary people to culture was as audience rather than as participant. And several generations into this arrangement, most people have genuinely forgotten that the participation was ever theirs by right, or that its loss has any relationship to the persistent, low-grade dissatisfaction that characterizes contemporary life at a scale no amount of consumption seems able to address. Every person can find something that resonates with them, something aligned with their own nature and inner world, something that elevates their spirit and brings fresh inspiration. This is not a motivational claim. It is a factual description of how the human capacity for creative engagement works. The specific activity through which any given person accesses the flow state. The sense of making a universe, the deep satisfaction of genuine creative engagement. That activity is individual, and it may not look like what is conventionally recognized as art or creativity. It might be cooking, in which the combination of flavors, textures, and presentation becomes a medium for genuine aesthetic exploration. It might be gardening, in which the arrangement of living things in space and time becomes a form of sustained creative collaboration with the natural world. It might be woodworking, or tailoring, or the restoration of old objects, or the design of systems, or the writing of code, or the arrangement of a room. The medium is almost irrelevant. What matters is the quality of the engagement. Whether the person is genuinely absorbed in the activity, whether it requires and develops their actual capacities, whether the making produces something that feels, to them, like the expression of something real, about who they are and what they find beautiful, or interesting, or worth making. The philosopher John Dewey, whose work on aesthetics and experience remains among the most profound in the Western tradition, argued that the division between the aesthetic experience of the appreciator and the productive experience of the maker was artificial and impoverishing. Genuine aesthetic experience, in Dewey's account, is always active. It involves the participation of the whole person, the investment of attention and energy, the bringing of one's own sensibility into contact with the work. The spectator who observes is not having an aesthetic experience in the full sense. The person who is genuinely moved by something, who brings themselves to it and is changed by the encounter, is already engaged in something that has the quality of creative participation. And the person who makes something, who allows their inner world to take external form through some medium, however modest, is engaging in exactly the kind of activity that Dewey understood as the fullest expression of what it means to be a human. Thank you for watching all the way through. I really appreciate you being here. Let me know what you think about the ideas in this video, and feel free to share your own perspective or advice in the comments. I genuinely like to read it. If you enjoyed this kind of content, please like the video and subscribe. My hope is to build not just a channel, but a community where people explore meaningful ideas, exchange thoughts, and grow together. See you in the next videos. Bye.